We talked about the sacks last week. They came, and we also talked about Solomon last week, and I felt that was kind of his breakout performance. Do you feel that really helped his confidence doing it in a game?
For Solomon especially, Defoe's been consistent. He's got to find consistency. I'd love to say that was a trigger point, but there's no doubt in my mind he's going to have struggles. But like I said last week, and I'll never waver off of this, if he works the way he does, that consistency will come.
Do you think he benefits from just playing more, now that, not something that you guys want, but with Tank on IR, it's kind of force-feeding Solomon a little bit more?
I'll be honest, I haven't checked the snap count. I don't think it was any different. Maybe he may have had
like 69, same as DeForest.
Did he have 69?
Yeah, is that right?
Did he have that many? Wow, jeez. We got to get off the field. But I don't think it's a result of obviously always reps. Shoot, that was his fourth game as a rookie, so the more reps he gets, that's natural progression, especially for somebody who works hard. There's some people who can get a lot of reps, they'll never get better because they don't put in the work. He puts in the work, he puts in the effort, he puts in the film study, so he will naturally get better. So I'm excited to see what his ceiling is.
What was the thought process of playing him mostly at Leo and Eric at Big End?
It's like we talked about last week, trying to get our players in the best position to be successful, trying to put our four best out there. And the whole Leo, Big End, that whole thing to me, especially on base downs, is not the case right now. It's trying to get our best four on the football field so we can be a functional defense against the run, because that's our standard. We're going to stop and run first before anything. And so that the whole, for you guys moving forward, the whole Leo Big End thing, it's not a name right now. It's about putting our best people on the field so we can be successful.
Are you, just to go on that same line, are you still looking at players and where they fit?
Always. Every week we're trying to evaluate to make sure the best combination. And, to be honest with you, if you look at the first 3 weeks of the year, you'd see in base defense Eric Armstead playing a 6 technique. You'll see Solomon playing a 6 technique. You'll see them both to the open side. If you look at last week, it's the same thing. We were playing a little bit different of a front against Arizona compared to what we did over the first couple of weeks. So they're still performing the same techniques, which is why it's just, for first and second down, it's not even me thinking positions it's not even in my head. It's more trying to get our guys out there so we can operate.
At one point, will you think of positions, or are you still feeling out these guys and figuring out, hey?
For sure, because there's going to be guys who are very unique to a certain skill set. And again, it's always our job to make sure that they're maximizing that skill set. In time for sure.
Set a much more mobile challenge than Palmer for you guys this week?
Yeah, I guess so. Carson doesn't move much. He is. He's not as much of a run threat as like Russell or Cam, but I think Brissett's a really underrated quarterback. The guy can make every throw. He sits back there. He sits back there tall, strong. He does have good patience. And he can throw everything. Against Seattle, he made a couple of throws that were pretty impressive. So he's a pretty good quarterback back there. And he's only been there about a month now, since they traded for him, a month and a half. So I think he's, as he like everyone else, as he gets comfortable, he's only going to get better.
Has Jaworski played well enough that I know Reed hasn't come back yet, but when Reed is healthy, are you going to have to figure out ways to get Jaworski back on the field just by way of how well he's played?
No question. It always goes back to our whole philosophy of getting our best 11 on the football field at all costs, finding a way to put people in position. So it's a great problem, but one we'll cross when we get there for sure.
How do you evaluate Jaworski in these last couple of weeks?
He's pretty good. He does everything you want. Physical, plays fast, plays smart. Obviously, he'll even tell you he's got to clean some stuff up in his game, but he's getting even better at communicating and talking with the underneath defenders. His communication with Jimmy is really good. Communication with the corners is really good. So I've been impressed with all those safeties, to be honest with you.
You mentioned the Colts game against the Seahawks from Sunday night. you and the Seahawks run similar defensive schemes. Obviously, players are different, but how does that particular game help you game plan for this upcoming game against the Colts?
It always helps to look from a familiarity standpoint. You know, played those guys twice a year for the last 4 years too, so familiar with the opponent, familiar with what they do. I think the coordinator's fantastic. Really strains our coverage, but so there is familiarity, and it's always good to see what they do versus like opponents. So it does help.
You know, with Buckner playing the way he is, are you seeing more double teams that he's facing? And if you're not, do you anticipate seeing more?
I'd anticipate seeing more. We noticed it a little bit towards the end of the game, especially in that 2-minute drive where the line slide just went to Buck. They were just sending 3 over there, so he's starting to get attention, and the attention's only going to get greater, which is why it's so important for those guys, for the other 3, to find their niche and to come along and catch up, so that way that they can't just focus on him, and if they do, then someone's got to make them pay. But he's playing at a level that the offenses won't be able to ignore him any longer.
You said you've obviously faced the Colts 2 times a year, and you're with the Jags. How have they used Frank Gore over the years, and how are they using him this year?
Frank, I'll piggyback what Kyle said. I do think he's one of the more underrated backs of our generation. He doesn't get enough credit for the things he's been able to accomplish. And, I mean, he's still a tough SOB, man. He'll still run downhill. He'll still put his face right on you. And he's still pretty good out of the backfield. I mean, he's still a dynamic running back, and he's still able to create when there's nothing there. From a scheme standpoint, I've always felt I don't want to say they're the same, but they do utilize him in a way to maximize his strengths for sure. He's downhill, and he's
more of a situational guy now, though, where he's only playing a couple of downs rather than all 3.
I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, they've got a good rotation going. They've got some guys, but I still think he's capable of doing everything they need him to do.
The best pass blocking running back that maybe you've prepared against, and is that something that alters the way a defensive coordinator enters a game?
He is an unbelievable pass blocker. That's without question. That's even in the past when always preparing for him, but it doesn't really change. We'll still take our linebackers over him.
What's the plan with Akello? I mean, how is he doing right now? And was the plan always that he was going to be a little bit of a late bloomer just because he didn't have a lot of football in his background?
The plan for Akello is, you know, like, he's been working his tail off. His technique has been improving every single week, and the way he's been operating and the way he's been going over the since OTAs really and progressing, there's no doubt he's going to end up on the field sooner than later. There's no doubt. So.
When you hear about Solomon talk about the way he works, he just has to be successful. I assume everyone works fairly hard. What distinguishes him? Why makes him special as far in that category?
To me, he doesn't have an ego in terms of it doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter if he's looking at a card. It doesn't matter if he's running scout team or line. He's going 100 miles an hour. He's got a mindset of like the biggest example would be if he's a 6 technique for the show team. He's going to play 6 technique like he does for us. And when you have a guy who takes reps and steals reps, I call them free reps. You have a free rep on a 6 technique. You take advantage of it and you work your technique and you operate in that regard the entire time, which is something that Akello is also doing over there on the scout team, where he's just working his read technique and his corner and his press technique. And so they haven't been wasting. It's not a jack-around period. And when you have a player with that mindset who's going to take advantage of every time he's on the football field, he's going to execute the technique that you're asking him to execute to the best of his ability, that's why they get better, for sure. And, of course, to piggyback it, or to add to it, but Halfley and Scanina do a great job, too, pulling those reps out to make sure that they all do see them. You know, so they're constantly being coached, and they know they're being coached, and because of it, they take ownership.
Robert, you're new to calling plays. I thought you called a great game against Arizona. On that final drive, you didn't bring pressure until they were in field goal range already. If you could do it again, would you be more aggressive earlier in that drive?
You know, that's a fair question. early in the drive, you know, just mindset-wise, in my mind, a check down is a 5-yard gain. So I call it the kill zone. We should be foaming at the mouth when that ball comes down there. And we had our opportunities. You don't anticipate 2 checkdowns getting a combined 20 yards. That's bad ball, very bad ball, to be honest with you. And we recognize that part. Would I do it over again? I don't know. Every situation's differently. I do feel like those guys played their tails off for 4 quarters. Really controlled the tempo of the game and really dictated the game and had a chance to blow that thing out of the water again. And one drive just pissed it all away, but excuse my language. But yeah, every situation's different. Every situation's different. Last drive notwithstanding, for sure.
Is that where you see the 69 snaps come into play?
What's that?
Is that where you see the 69 snaps?
Yeah, even less. I mean, shoot, we were good on 3rd down, good in the red zone, good all the way across the board. Great against the run. At that point, Carson, after 4 quarters, I think he had a 70 quarterback rating, 250 yards and no touchdown. So we felt like we played a dominant football game. And just that last drive, yeah, I'm evaluating that still and trying to process that through my mind. So,
What are your thoughts about Malik Hooker before the draft?
Ball hawk, rangy, good speed. I'm not exactly sure what he's doing over there. I heard he has a couple of picks, but
It's 3.
3, does he? Shoot.
That's good? All right.